I thought I'd do something a little bit fun for the young at heart. Dookie, Sookie, and Big Mo. Remember this story? So over 50 years ago this was printed. Big Mo was too late. There was excitement in the Savara village in India. On this morning, people were hurrying to and from the market, but there was an unusual restlessness, for something was about to happen. Mothers held their babies in their arms and took the small hands of their young children as they hastened along the streets to the road that led down to the river. Dogs barked and ducks quacked and chickens squawked as they flew across the road to get out of the way. "Big Mo, where is everyone going?" asked Kola, the herd boy, as he drove a small herd of cows from the river road toward the grasslands near the bank of the river. "There's going to be a funeral, Kola," answered Big Mo. "I didn't know about it until I came to sell the milk, or I would have told you when you came to get the cows. Everything should be ready by now." Then, taking long strides, the big man of the village soon joined the crowd that was making its way to the clearing. "I'm going too," said Kola to himself. He put down the big stick he was carrying. He would leave the cows to graze in the tall green grass. He was certain they would not stray far, with plenty of grass to eat. The funeral would not take long if, as Big Mo said, they had everything ready. Kola hurried to overtake the big man of the village. When he came to the clearing, Kola saw a great pile of logs, dry grass, and twigs. Partly covered in this was a body wrapped in a dark cloth. On the top of the body was a small bundle, the object of much conversation among the people standing about. "Is that little bundle the baby?" asked Kola as he stood beside Big Mo. "Yes, Kola. The mother died in childbirth." "But why burn the baby too when it is still alive?" Kola asked anxiously. "Shh, Kola," said Big Mo. "It has long been the custom of the Savaras to do it this way. Our people feel that it is much more merciful, for without the mother's milk, the child will slowly starve to death anyway. This way is quick, no long, drawn-out agony. But to burn the baby alive—" Kola shuddered as he spoke. His eyes were wide with awe and wonder. He had been to funerals before, of course, for births and deaths are common events in India, but somehow this one was different. Kola and Big Mo stood in silence in the crowd. The village charm doctor, dressed in his ceremonial costume, with decorated headdress, strings of bones and shells, and an embroidered sash and beaded sandals, stepped forward. He was carrying a burning torch in his hand. He began with the usual weird dance and chanting song, which were supposed to drive away the evil spirits, and then he signaled to his helper, who stepped up to the dry grass and twigs and started a fire. Big Mo clenched his fist as he heard the sound of wailing from the relatives and friends. Even some of the curious onlookers screamed and shed tears as the flames leaped up and enveloped the funeral pyre on which the dead mother and her living newborn infant were lying. Kola trembled. He feared the anger of the spirits. He shared the great superstition of the people in the village. "The baby! The baby!" someone cried. "Don't let the baby burn." Then, you want to see a picture? You want to see a picture? So there's the charm doctor, we might call the witch doctor, doing his little dance before the fire is lit. You see the mother there and the bundle. Then a fearful silence fell on the crowd as the charm doctor called down the spirits to quiet the people. Big Mo turned his face away. Had he only imagined it? Or had he heard the tiny baby cry out in the flames? He could not be sure. Something inside him stirred. His heart beat rapidly. If only he dared to snatch it from the burning pyre before it was too late. But no, there stood the charm doctor, calling the wrath of the spirits upon the villagers. There stood the relatives and friends, weeping silently. Big Mo was powerless to help. The crowd began moaning and screaming again. Mothers clutched their own little ones and turned to leave. It was too awful to see, and yet the whole village had come to witness it. Big Mo waited until most of the people had gone. When he was certain that the charm doctor was out of sight, he went over to the burning mass. Kola held back, wondering what his friend was going to do. There was no sound but the crackling of the flames. With his bare hands, the man reached into the fire and pulled out the small bundle, but it crumbled as it fell at his feet. He was too late. But that was how it was when the spirits were angry. Only trouble, curses, and death. How did you dare? Asked Kola, looking at Big Mo's burned hands. Do you have no fear of the spirits? They will put a terrible curse on you. I did not think of what the spirits might do to me, said Mo. I could think only of that helpless baby. I thought I heard it cry. I'm almost sure I heard it. As Big Mo and Kola followed the stragglers along the river road, Kola asked, but how could you hear it with the noise of the fire? The people screaming and the charm doctor shouting and chanting. Maybe I just felt it in here, said Big Mo, touching his chest. Here in my heart, something tells me it is not right to burn babies like this. But what can we do? We are powerless to stop it. Anyway, I tried to save it, but I was too late. Big Mo, began Kola, I know you are the strong man of our village, and I like to work for you. But when you dare to say things against the charm doctor and the spirits, you make me afraid. Kola ran ahead, picked up his stick, and went over to where the cows were grazing contentedly on the green grass. Well, mused Big Mo to himself as he walked back to the village, I thought Kola was my friend, but perhaps he isn't. Big Mo sold his milk and made a few purchases in the market. Then he went to the spring, washed out his big milk jars, and filled them with cool water from the spring. He started home, but he paused for a moment before the shrine under the spirit tree. On the stones before the shrine he placed a bouquet of flowers that he had purchased at the market. After he had chanted the weird song of the charm doctor, he climbed the stony hill path to his mud hut. He set the jars full of water on the hard dirt floor, took a bottle of oil from the shelf, and rubbed some on his blistered hands. There was an ache in his heart as he thought of the tiny infant he had been powerless to save. If only I had dared to go sooner, I could have saved it, he muttered under his breath. The spirits might be angry if he spoke his thoughts aloud. Someday I will do something about it. Then Big Mo went to work in his paddy terrace. All through the hot day, his imagination brought back a tiny baby's cry. Over and over, he said to himself, I was too late, too late. When the sun was low in the western sky, Mo went home. Soon he heard the click, click of the cow's hoofs on the sharp stones of the hill path. Mo opened the gate of the little enclosure behind the house, and Kola drove the cows in. "Kola," began Mo, as he closed the gate, "I've been thinking about what we saw this morning." "So have I," said Kola, "but I'm afraid to talk about it. The spirits may hear and put a terrible curse on me. I must hurry." Waving goodbye with his goading stick, the youth ran down the path and was soon lost from sight. Big Mo turned to his evening chores. He milked the cows, strained the milk into a clean earthen jar, and set it in the water tank to cool. He ate his supper of beans and rice, but built a small fire for protection outside the door of the hut and sat down on the stone step. There was a heavy ache in his heart as he watched the moon come up behind the palm trees, beyond the lotus pool. It was a beautiful moon. There must be a powerful spirit who could make the moon rise in the sky. Could it be the same spirit that made the sun come up in the morning? There must also be spirits that made the rain for the paddy fields, that made the rice grow, that kept water in the spring and in the river. Surely, these were good spirits. They would not put tiny babies on the funeral pyre to be burned alive. "Someday I will find out about all this," said Big Mo, clenching his fists. "Someday I will know if the good spirits are stronger than the evil spirits." Mo closed the bamboo gate in front of the door of the hut to keep out prowlers. Then he stretched out on his mat on the dirt floor inside and went to sleep. That concludes our reading of Chapter 1 of Dookie, Suki, and Big Mo.